It hasn't bleeped.
Yes, it has.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our new bedroom.
Yep, this is where we spent the night last night. Out in the middle of the Ulu.
What's the Ulu?
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And another classic story of how the mind works, or works against us, or works for us. Kind of interesting.
Last night, around midnight, we'd already made a plan to come here. But I decided to go a little bit earlier because I was sat around waiting and Pete was doing something. So off I set with my rucksack and everything I needed. And after a few little wrong turns, not too many, I eventually found it after being carved to shreds by the shrubs and the gorse. And this rock for me is very special. It's very sacred. This is where I come to meditate and things like that, just to sit and be and write. So I had this great fantasy. I should prepare myself with oil and drape myself upon the mossy rock. And when Pete comes in probably half an hour or something, he will just see his ultimate fantasy and never ever forget. It's going to be one of those moments that he remembers for the rest of his life. Now I said to myself, I'm going to wait until I hear some footsteps coming before I do this, because it is a little bit chilly and I could be hanging around a while longer than expected and maybe get bitten by mosquitoes. So I was all ready and prepared, waiting for these masculine footsteps to appear. But then, what happened?
No masculine footsteps. For a very long while. What it was, I was back at home, which is not very far from me, walking distance. I was Skyping with someone, and the Skype test started at 11 o'clock at night, was due to end at midnight, and then I would quite confidently walk down here in the dark. I've been here a couple of times, but last winter, and trying to find my way in the dark, although it was lit by the moon, through an old cow field, but there weren't any cows in it, so the grass has grown much longer, hiding all the rocks. And I must say, this block is part of an escarpment. It's a deep valley, and just the other side of the block there's a drop. So all along this ridge, and you come to it from above from our house, there's a risk of seriously dropping off some fucking drop. And I'm also carrying 2 rolled up blankets, which are thick enough that I can't actually see where I'm walking. So I'm hitting things, rolling over, swearing like holy hell, and then I'm getting pissed off, stand up, walk straight into some brambles, and get all caught up with the blankets and that sort of hoo-ha. So this half an hour that Anaiya was expecting, and me too, I thought I'd just pop down the field, ended up being, I couldn't find her for over an hour, easily. And then the stories start telling themselves. Anaiya's head, for example.
So after, I said to myself, okay, by the time the candle burns down, I'm going to take that as a sign from the great lady that you best go look for Pete. I knew he would be physically absolutely fine, being an ex-soldier and everything. But where is he? So I set off in good spirits. I must say, I set off in good spirits. I left the other candle burning so that if he did walk past, he could see where I'd made the bed. And but then, just as I'm approaching the house, I get to hear a different quality of inner dialogue. And it went something like this. I can't believe he's still Skyping. When it's full moon, summer solstice, he knows I'm on the rock waiting for him for some mystical lovemaking. I can't believe he's chosen to do this. What that voice was hiding, or disguising, was this feeling of my favourite friend at the moment, abandonment. It was a feeling of like, I'm not wanted. He's chosen to do something else. I'm alone. Just not wanted. Just like, oh, you're over there on the rock, being sexy and alluring. Yeah, well, I'm over here having a Skype. And of course, once I got back to the house was dark and Pete was so not there at all. Not true. The voice was telling a lie.
Yeah. So me setting off also in light mood, just going to nip down the field in the moonlight. What a thought of beautiful lovemaking on this big block we're actually lying on now. But as time's going by, I simply can't find her. And in the dark, or anyway, the way to this block is over a wire and a narrow little path, which is difficult to find in daylight. But then trying to find it at night with everything else going on, so it's starting to wear away at my self-belief. You know, my lifelong self-lie is about not being good enough. So rattling around in my head already in this first hour is this, you're some ex-soldier, you can't even find your girlfriend half an hour from the house. And it started in this long story of the inner critic telling all kinds of things. You fucking useless thing. Look at you. Pathetic. She's waiting there for her and she'd be like, losing faith in me. So in the end, the only way I knew how to get to this block was from underneath, because I'd walked up that way a few times before, in daylight, of course. But I had to walk all the way around this escarpment to get to the path that comes up. And of course, there are new electric fences which haven't been there before, so I'm getting zapped. And I'm having to lie down in the dewy grass to roll underneath. Then I can smell horse shit. That's interesting. Why is the horse? Oh, that's why. 10 horses in the dark in a field where there wasn't a field before. And the, big animals moving. Like, this is France. There aren't any big scary things like bears or wolves anymore, sadly. But big scary things and mind together make very interesting stories. So, whistling all kinds of things just to keep myself and them aware of where I am. But the worst part is still the same old story from mine, saying about how bad I am, about how useless I am, all this kind of thing. Nightmare.
Yeah.
But then, as with anything, realizing that this is mind, this isn't truth, and then being able to kind of reach to a form of compassion for myself, and that results are not the measure of a man, but the willing to walk, in this example, all the way round, take 3 times as long, but make sure I actually get there, no matter what, because that was our agreement. Yeah. And I didn't just give up after the first part of the story and sort of wait for her at home, take the easy option, as it were. And it was important to me, even if she'd actually gone back to the house by the time I got here, that I came here, because then, she can trust my word.
And this is how I feel this morning. I mean, I'm laughing from merriment. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because
Really?
My God, it would have been such an initiation. But actually, I feel you're kind of like more heroic, actually, because you didn't give up.
No.
You didn't give up. You rolled under those wire fences. You probably put your face in horse poo. You didn't give up. And I'm rather pleased with myself, because I too could have waited at the house, sat on the porch, been a bit moody by the time he got back. But when he did get here, it was more like, hey, sweetie,
Yeah.
Where you been?
Mm.
Nice, innocent, not cross.
Mm. And then, of course, it was a full moon last night. So the light in this forest, this is an old forest, mostly oak trees and stuff like that. So amazing. But again, the most important part of the whole thing is seeing the workings of our own mind and learning to witness that the voices that come from it are not always on our side,
Right.
or are trying to keep us in a limited version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Stay safe, play safe,
Yeah.
rather than no, go that extra mile and prove to yourself and maybe someone else that the quality of this man and how far he's willing to go.
And the patience of this lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how
And
long she's willing to wait.
So there's a really interesting part of the sacred union part about feeling her patience, knowing and hearing she is patiently waiting. And it's important, when I eventually appear, it's like, where the fuck have you been?
Not quite like that.
No, exactly. So it's more this support. As guys, when we feel our ladies support and love like that, it changes the whole thing. It makes the 3-hour walkabout worth every step.
And what was another lovely quality? I always knew he would get here. Definitely. Pete Wilson on this block? Absolutely.
We just had a brew, so it's good. What I'm feeling, apart from gorse, scrapes, and thorns in my butt, and all kinds of things like that, is a love that it's very simple and pure. And it's, in a way, it's kind of based on the fact, I know it sounds very clinical, but based on the fact that we were actually definitely showing up for each other.
Yeah.
So, totally recommend sleeping in the forest.
Happy solstice, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.